Hello and welcome to Just Hoops. In today's video, we're going to go into the trade deadline again and talk about Houston's Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon is one of the big names floating around in rumors, and he's a big-time asset that teams could really look to get and add to their teams, especially for teams that are looking for deep playoff runs. So in this video, we're going to take a look at his game and see how he can impact wherever he ends up or if he stays in Houston. So first, let's talk about what he does offensively, but starting with his biggest asset as his shooting ability. This season, he's shooting at an incredible clip from deep. He's shooting 42% from three. He's showing that he can do it in a variety of ways also, whether that means he's catching it in spot-up situations, playing off of the young guys around him, or in transition, he's a really good option above the break or even in the corners, running his lane. He's also able to catch, pump fake, take a dribble or two, create space, and knock it down. His ability to knock down consistent three-point shots from deep range also is a big asset to have on a team that's really looking to add spacing and just more options offensively. He's also really good at moving off the ball, finding cracks, and that's a big thing to do with somebody that could shoot the ball at such a high level as he could. His ability to find space, create space for himself, and just knock down whenever he has the space is a huge asset to have on teams that are just looking to add a little bit more of a piece. Another option offensively. He can be a big-time asset as a shooter and spacer on all championship contending teams, and then even a booster guy for teams that are looking for playoff implications, playoff runs, teams that are on the fringe, play-in teams. He can be a big-time asset just with his floor spacing ability, yet alone what comes next in this video. So now let's talk about a little bit of the flavor he has in his offensive game with how he's able to attack and especially attack in closeout situations. So in these couple of clips I put together, you can see that he's really good at understanding when they're running him off the line. And when he sees that he has an opportunity to blow by, he has a good first step, he's able to get downhill, has a solid handle, and he's able to finish in the lane. We're going to be able to talk about all of this further in the next part of this video, but right now I just want to simplify it and say that his shooting ability is even tougher to guard due to his ability to get downhill and make plays deep in the paint. So next, let's talk about the real flavor and spice in his offensive game, as he has a good ability to create his own shot. In these clips, look, he's able to handle the ball with anyone, he's able to find his space, go get to his spots, really get downhill. He has a nice floater game with either hand. He has a really good job at knocking down threes off the bounce. He's phenomenal in the pick and roll. It's a very underrated aspect of his game, but he's able to put the ball on the ground and make smart decisions. We'll talk more about his playmaking next, but in these clips, you can even see that he's an ISO threat for the Houston Rockets right now with the guys like Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr. They give Eric Gordon the ball in spots for him to get the ball on the ground and make plays. So to add this to your team as a championship contender really adds another guy that defenses have to worry about, defenses have to lock in on. You can't really help off of him, and you have to give him a good matchup on a nightly basis or he's going to go to town on you. He's averaging 14 points per game, which isn't that high, but he's also shooting at a pretty efficient clip. He's nearly shooting 50% from the floor, and his ability to just create his own shot is something that I personally didn't know until I started researching for this video. He always was a floor spacer, and I knew he could move around, knock down threes, and attack closeouts. But this year, he's really highlighted his ability to put the ball on the floor, create for himself, find openings, get to his spots. And this type of deal offensively is something that I think any team could really enjoy adding and become very beneficial down the road to ease a star's load, to ease the offense's load, give it another option to allow the offense to breathe. But next, we're going to dive into the other half of his shot creation, which is shot creation for his teammates through his playmaking ability. As far as Gordon's playmaking goes, he has an incredibly high basketball intelligence. He understands where his teammates are going, where they're supposed to be, and what spots they could be in to be successful, and he puts them there. Overall, you can see throughout these clips, he's able to get downhill, find open guys, or if he's on the perimeter, he catches, takes his time, reads the defense, and finds openings. In the pick and roll, one thing that he's incredibly successful with is he's a big-time pocket passer, and that also applies on just straight line drives to the hoop, and he finds guys in the cracks. Another thing, when he's on the perimeter and he gets space to go downhill, He's really good at identifying where the help's coming from and exploiting them on kick-out passes. He's just really good at understanding and putting guys in spots where they can do things, where they can be successful, where they can create and maintain advantages. That's the whole point of basketball, especially if you have the ball in your hands. You're supposed to put yourself or your team in spots to be successful, and Gordon does that at an incredibly high level. So if you trade for him into your team, you're expecting a guy that could basically do all three levels offensively: shooting, creating shots for himself, and being able to create for his teammates. So next and lastly, let's talk about him as a defender. Defensively, he's incredibly underrated. He's small height-wise, but weight-wise, he's 215 pounds, making him a really different matchup and a different guy schematically that he can match up with a variety of guys. In these first couple clips, you can see that he's matching up, sliding well, staying in front of perimeter-based matchups. He has nice active hands, he does a good job at disrupting passing lanes, and he just is optimal at staying in front and making plays contesting without fouling. And then next, we'll look into more how he guards on the inside. But as a perimeter defender, he does a good job at hustling, working his butt off, beating guys at the spot, just being a vet on the outside at making these plays. Now, as an interior guy, he shows his versatility. He's able to truly switch to anyone on the floor if he need be. He's strong for his size, and he has good length to contest bigs near the rim. He's not afraid to body up and guard people, and it's just very tough for him to not have a bad matchup. So he's flying around, he's being physical, he's being aggressive both inside and out, and he's just incredibly smart as a defender. He understands where he needs to be, what he needs to do, and he does it on a nightly basis. In Houston right now, he's teaching these young guys the ropes. He's flying around, he's matching up with anyone that they need him to. He's switching 1 through 4, 1 through 5. He does it all, and this can translate to any team and be a huge asset to have at this end of the floor, especially if you're trying to win playoff games and possibly win a championship. In these last two clips of his defense, you can see that he just does his job and understands defensive schemes at an incredibly high level. First things first, he switches on this play against the Spurs. Then he stabs at the ball in the pick and roll, gets it loose, gets up into the ball, and he sits low, gets in his stance, and he just does his job and forces a tough mid-range shot. Now, in this clip against Philly, you can see he fights over the Korkmaz handoff, zoom action, then goes under the return get. Then he's sitting in his gap, he drops back, bodies up Drummond, drops to the paint, is in good help position. Then he rotates and understands that there's an opening and gets a good contest out on the shooter. So to wrap up this video, Eric Gordon is one of the most, if not the most valuable player on the trade market this trade deadline. He's able to do it at both ends of the floor. As a defender, we just talked about, he's highly intelligent, understand what he needs to do, and he can do it at a really high level. He's able to guard basically 1 through 4, able to switch onto big guys, guard them in the paint. On the outside, he does a good job at staying in front, contesting shots, playing without fouling. As an offensive player, it starts and ends with his shooting ability. He's able to shoot it like anyone in the league can, and he does it at an incredibly efficient level. And other than that, he's able to create his own shot. He has a quick first step. He's able to put the ball on the floor and create both for himself, as I just said, and his teammates as an outstanding multi-dimensional player offensively. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, learned something about Eric Gordon and what teams could benefit from trading for him during this trade deadline. For more content, please like and subscribe, and we will catch you guys in the next one.